everyone. So yesterday we have seen adrenergic agents part 1, in which we have covered the classification of adrenergic agents as well as adrenergic neurotransmission. So we are not going to revise or repeat all these things, but today just we will see recap like, so first of all we'll see endogenous catecholamine. So endogenous catecholamine, if we'll see, they are adrenaline, noradrenaline and dopamine. Okay. Now another way of classification that we have seen, whether the agent is directly acting, indirectly acting or mixed acting agent. And another way of classification, that is therapeutic classification. So we will see again, so you can remember the things easily. Directly acting agents, here catecholamine and non-catecholamines. So catecholamines, if we'll see endogenous, that I have already mentioned, and synthetic catecholamines. Now which are these synthetic catecholamines? Isoprenaline, dipivefrin, dobutamine, dopexamine and phenoldopam. Non-catecholamines, which are directly acting agents, alpha-1 selective agent. These are phenylephrine, methoxamine, nefazolin, oxymetazoline, xylometazoline and midodrine. Now alpha-2 selective agents or agonists are clonidine, apraclonidine and alpha-methyl dopa. So as we have discussed earlier, which agents are known as directly acting agents? The agents which will bind with the receptors and produces its action. Indirectly acting sympathomimetic agents. So first of all, what do you mean by indirectly acting? They will not directly interact with receptors, but suppose we take the example of first category, releasing agents. So releasing agents include tyramine and amphetamine. So these agents displace noradrenaline from its binding site in the nerve ending and exchange with it. So they cause more and more release of noradrenaline and produces sympathomimetic action. Over the time, in case of tyramine, if we'll see, tachyphylaxis occur because of depletion of store of noradrenaline. Another indirectly acting sympathomimetics are uptake inhibitors like uptake 1 inhibitors, cocaine, dazipramine, amphetamine and another agents, and vesicular uptake blockers like rezerpine. MAO inhibitors, saligilin and razagilin, COMT inhibitors, entacapone and tolcapone. So these agents are known as indirectly acting agents because they don't deal directly with the receptors, but still by various mechanism produces sympathomimetic agent or action. Mixed acting sympathomimetics, which are having action on receptors also, as well as they act by another mechanism also, mainly releasing of noradrenaline. The examples are ephedrine and mephenteramine. Now coming to the actions of adrenaline, noradrenaline and isoprenaline. Yesterday we have already seen the receptor rank order of potency of these various three agents, adrenaline, noradrenaline and isoprenaline, about alpha and beta receptors. So in short, if we'll see, adrenaline is having action on alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2 and weak beta 3 action. If you remember about noradrenaline, alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1 and more beta 3 action, but no or very little beta 2 action. Remember this. So it would be easier to understand the various actions. Isoprenaline having receptor affinity and action mediated by beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3 receptors and no alpha action. So we can label this agent as non-selective beta agonist. So the action, if we'll see, first of all we'll see the action on heart. So action on SA node. So SA node, these agents, especially adrenaline, will enhance the slow diastolic depolarization. The phase of slow diastolic depolarization, which is the phase 4 of action potential as we are knowing. So ultimately this will lead to enhance the action of SA node. Latent pacemaker activation in AV node and Purkinje's fibers become activation. Okay. So as we are knowing, as we already know and learn in physiology, SA node is only the pacemaker in case of heart, but in special condition or specially pathology condition like myocardial infarction or CHF or atherosclerosis or such type of conditions, what will happen? This latent pacemaker also become activated, especially in AV node and Purkinje's fibers. That is because of action of high dose of these agents. At high doses, not only they lead to activation of pacemaker, latent pacemaker, but they also lead to arrhythmias, various type of arrhythmias, tachyarrhythmias we can say. Raise blood pressure because of cardiac stimulation, and this cardiac stimulation, that is because of beta 1 receptors that we are knowing, and all these three agents, adrenaline, noradrenaline and isoprenaline, is having beta 1 action. So all will lead to cardiac stimulation and these effects. Raise blood pressure, that will lead to reflex activation. So because of reflex activation, what will happen? Vagomimetic action we can see. So bradycardia occurs. This also lead to unmasked latent pacemakers as we have seen earlier. This reflex activation is mainly seen with noradrenaline if we compare all these three agents, because we are knowing noradrenaline having no beta 2 action. So beta 2 mediated vasodilation is absent with noradrenaline. So rise in blood pressure is much more as compared to adrenaline and isoprenaline with noradrenaline. So because of raised blood pressure, reflex activation seen, which is more with noradrenaline. Now if we see drug-drug interaction in relation to action on heart, so we can say when patient is on adrenaline and patient requires general anesthesia, at that time avoid giving chloroform, which is obsolete now. We are not using as general anesthetic agent, but still we can remember the drug-drug interaction with adrenaline, and halothane, which is the inhalational general anesthetic agents, still it is quite popular and used widely. So when patient is given halothane as general anesthetic agents, it will sensitize the heart more to the arrhythmogenic potential of adrenaline. So as we have seen, adrenaline and all these agents can cause arrhythmia. But when halothane is given, the arrhythmogenic potential of adrenaline is enhanced. And that's why it is contraindicated. Later on also we will see. As we know, force of contraction increase, tension and relaxation also increase. that will lead to shortening of systole more than diastole. So cardiac output and oxygen consumption also increase. So we can say the workload on heart or cardiac workload increase because of increased oxygen consumption. So in patient of angina, we can say angina is the condition, angina pectoris is the condition in which there is imbalance between oxygen supply and oxygen demand. So angina is the chest pain occur when either supply is short or demand is more. So in this condition, there are chances of aggravation of angina. So that is also one of the contraindication with adrenaline and other agents. Now conduction velocity. So conduction velocity also increase of AV node, bundle of His, atria and ventricle. Refractive period abbreviated, increased blood pressure that we have already seen, reflex activation which lead to bradycardia, and it is seen more with noradrenaline. So in short, if we summarize the action on heart, we can say positive inotropic, chronotropic and dromotropic action will be seen. We have also seen some drug-drug interaction as well as contraindication and utility of according to that. Now action of these agents on blood vessels. So blood vessels, we can remember yesterday's or previous lecture. So if we see receptor wise, whenever the action on specific organ or system is mentioned, we need to remember the location of various receptors. So if we are talking about blood vessels, so alpha receptor also having location in blood vessels as well as beta. Alpha causes vasoconstriction by both, that means by both the receptors, alpha 1 and alpha 2. So what is the location of alpha 1? Alpha 1 is the junctional in blood vessels and alpha 2 is extrajunctional in the blood vessels. Now when there is the importance of extrajunctional or alpha 2 mediated vasoconstriction, when the agent is given from outside or any pharmacological intervention is done. Alpha 1 that is more responding to endogenous release of noradrenaline or catecholamines or these agents. Predominant in cutaneous, renal and mucous membrane vessels. Here we are talking about alpha receptors. Now beta receptors. Beta 2 vascular action, okay, so it will lead to vasodilation. Alpha 1, alpha 2 vasoconstriction at this side, beta 2 vasodilation in skeletal muscle, liver and coronaries. So this vasodilation is responsible for diastolic blood pressure, decrease in diastolic blood pressure. Action more marked on arterioles and precapillary sphincters as compared to larger arterioles. Now effect of these agents on blood pressure. When we are talking about the noradrenaline, so we have seen beta 1 mediated cardiac stimulation is there, and another thing that is beta 2 mediated vasodilatation is there, but this is not present with noradrenaline. So what will happen? Systolic blood pressure will increase as well as diastolic blood pressure will also increase. As a result of that, mean blood pressure or pulse pressure also will increase. And regarding noradrenaline, if we have seen, So reflex activation because of raise in blood pressure is much more as compared to adrenaline and isoprenaline, because no beta 2 action is there in noradrenaline, and reflex activation that will lead to activation of vagal activity and ultimately bradycardia will occur. Isoprenaline, as we have seen, isoprenaline is non-selective beta blocker. So because of beta 1 mediated cardiac stimulation, raise in blood pressure we can see, and beta 2 mediated vasodilation also we can see. So systolic blood pressure increase, diastolic blood pressure may or may not increase, but mean blood pressure will definitely decrease with isoprenaline. Now adrenaline. If we talk about effect of adrenaline on blood pressure, it is having dose dependent action and route of administration also plays some role. So slow IV infusion and subcutaneous administration, what will happen when slow IV administration and subcutaneous administration is there? Systolic blood pressure will increase, diastolic may or may not rise, but ultimately mean blood pressure will increase because of alpha and beta action. When rapid IV infusion is given with adrenaline, or when adrenaline is given in very high concentration, at very high concentration what will happen? It will initially stimulate beta 1. So beta 1 mediated cardiac stimulation will be there, force of contraction and ultimately cardiac output will increase. So that will lead to rise in blood pressure. Immediately because of vagal activity, bradycardia will be there, and which is followed by alpha 1 mediated vasoconstriction, which is more persistent and prolonged action. Alpha 1 mediated rise in blood pressure by adrenaline. After that, it is the substrate of MAO we are knowing. So metabolism will be there, and because of metabolism, the active concentration of adrenaline will decrease. Now this decrease concentration of adrenaline more sensitive towards beta 2 receptors. So at that time, beta 2 mediated vasodilation will be present with adrenaline, and we are knowing beta 2 mediated fall in blood pressure will be there. This is known as biphasic response of adrenaline. Now vasomotor reversal of Dale. So Dale was the scientist. He has demonstrated vasomotor reversal of Dale. So what is this vasomotor reversal of Dale? We have seen about the biphasic response of adrenaline. So after this response, if we administered alpha blocker and again repeat the adrenaline, so at that time what will happen? The alpha mediated response will be absent. So some beta 1 mediated cardiac stimulation we can see, and no alpha 1 mediated rise in blood pressure, but beta 2 mediated fall in blood pressure we can see. The response is more similar to that of isoprenaline at that time. So this phenomenon is known as vasomotor reversal of Dale. Now effect of this agent on RS. Bronchodilation. How bronchodilation will be there? We have seen the location of beta 2 receptors in bronchi. Smooth muscle relaxation will be there because of cyclic AMP mediated action. So bronchodilation will be there, and if we see the therapeutic utility, selective beta 2 agonist like salbutamol, terbutaline, and this type of agents can be useful in case of bronchial asthma. Respiratory center stimulation occur with adrenaline at toxic doses or very high doses, but continuous administration in experimental animal which can lead to transient apnea. Pulmonary edema also possible with toxic or high doses because of shifting of blood from systemic to pulmonary vasculature. Effect on eye, if we'll see, we are knowing the location of alpha-1 receptor in the eye, which can lead to mydriasis. So, there is therapeutic utility of this effect of selective alpha-1 agonist phenylephrine is useful to produce mydriasis in the conditions when cycloplegia is not required. So, we have seen in case of anticholinergic agents, when mydriatic action is required, anticholinergic or atropine and atropine substitutes are useful. But in the condition when cycloplegia is not required, phenylephrine is the choice of agent. Now, effect of these agents on aqueous humor, which is having different action, depends on different receptors that we will see, and depends on that utility of various agents we can see. So here I have drawn this and photographed it. So figure is showing vasomotor reversal of DEL. Here when adrenaline is given in high concentration or rapid IV administration, at that time rise in blood pressure will be there. Initially this is because of beta 1 stimulation, beta 1 mediated rise will be there, which is immediately followed by fall. That is because of vagal stimulation, it will produce bradycardia, fall in blood pressure. But immediately because of persistent alpha-1, prolonged and persistent alpha-1 action, rise in blood pressure will be there. Metabolism of adrenaline occur, concentration of adrenaline become low concentration. At low concentration it shows, beta 2 receptor shows high affinity, and it will bind with beta 2 receptors and causes beta 2 mediated vasodilation, which results in fall in blood pressure. Alpha blocker given here, and the same dose of adrenaline repeated here, same dose of adrenaline repeated here. So no alpha response we can see here. Beta 1 mediated some rise and beta 2 mediated fall in blood pressure seen with adrenaline. This reversal is known as vasomotor reversal of DEL because it was very first demonstrated by DEL using ergot alkaloid as alpha blocker, that you will learn later on. So it is very important question. In practical also you will learn about vasomotor reversal of DEL. In theory also it can be asked, in Viva also it can be asked. So which alpha blocker DEL has given, and we can use, or another alpha blockers can be useful to produce vasomotor reversal of DEL, that you should know. You will learn later on about this. Now effect on eye, we have seen mydriasis and on aqueous humor. So action of adrenaline on aqueous humor dynamics. So it depends on receptors, agonistic action, alpha-1 mediated action. So alpha-1 causes vasoconstriction of ciliary vessels, reduce aqueous formation. Alpha-2 receptors involved with reduced secretory activity of ciliary epithelium. And here question mark is there, but we can assume alpha receptor, how, they don't know, augmentation of uveoscleral outflow. Beta 2 receptor involved in enhanced secretory activity of ciliary epithelium and facilitation of trabecular outflow as well. So all these action in general, if we'll see, making the agents or agonistic agents of adrenaline or alpha 1 agonist or alpha 2 agonist or beta 2 agonist use of these agents in glaucoma that we will learn later on. Dipivefrin, that is analog of adrenaline, can be used in case of glaucoma, as well as non-selective agents like, okay, that is beta blocker, that is different thing. Here we are talking about agonistic agents. Now, effect on GIT. If we see the effect of these agents, sympathomimetics, on GIT, whether alpha or beta, both the receptors lead to same action, that is relaxation of GI smooth muscle. You can remember that. It's not like that alpha causes constriction of muscle and beta causes relaxation. It's not like that. Both the agents, in this case you need to remember, both the agents cause relaxation of GI smooth muscle. Effect on urinary bladder, prostate and vas deferens. It causes detrusor muscle relaxation or detrusor relaxation, that is mediated by beta 2 and beta 3 receptors, and constriction of trigone, that is because of alpha 1 receptors. So in previous class we have seen beta 3 action, beta 3 agonist, miragrabin, that was used. We have seen these agents can be used to relax the detrusor in case of overactive bladder. So this is the utility of these agents. But because of collective action on both these receptors, non-selective agents like adrenaline causes difficulty in voiding urine. So this you can remember. Otherwise, selective agonistic action is useful therapeutically. Now, action on prostatic muscle, alpha 1 mediated, it will increase the prostatic muscle tone, and that's why selective alpha 1 blocker or alpha blocker useful to reduce prostatic muscle tone in the condition like BPH, benign prostatic hypertrophy. So this thing also you can remember, along with pharmacological action, whether any adverse effect is there because of extension or any other drug-drug interaction is there or utility is there simultaneously, we will discuss that also. So that is the role of alpha blocker. Ejaculation, that is also carried out by alpha 1 receptor, that is because of it causes rhythmic contraction of vas deferens and seminal vesicle, that will lead to ejaculation. Parasympathetic system is over, so you are knowing for erection there is the role of parasympathetic system or cholinergic system, and in ejaculation there is the role of sympathetic system. So while you will learn about the male impotency, so at that time you will learn impotency, that is failure to erect and failure to eject. So according to that, various agonistic agent and various blocker can be used, that you will learn. Effect on uterus. So alpha 1 as usual responsible for contraction of uterus, and beta 2 responsible for relaxation of uterus. But here this type of response can vary with different species. It also depends on various hormonal stages and the condition of the uterus, that means either gravid uterus or non-pregnant uterus. If we are talking about the human uterus, so pregnant or gravid human uterus, that will be relaxed by beta 2 mediated action. So in the conditions when there is need to cause the relaxation of uterus, like preterm labor and related conditions. These agents are prescribed, selective beta-2 agonists, and these agents are known as tocolytics. Tocolytics means the agents which causes relaxation of uterus. Ritodrine, isozuprine, and salbutamol, salmeterol. There are many agents we have seen in therapeutic classification in previous class. Now the effect on skeletal muscle. So neuromuscular transmission is enhanced. That is because of alpha-1 mediated action, and that is because of release of acetylcholine. So alpha-1 mediated acetylcholine release is there, ultimately will lead to enhancement of neuromuscular transmission. Now direct effect, that is because of beta-2 receptors, depends on type of fibers. So here we have seen the indirect action. Indirect action, why it is known as indirect action? Because that is because of release of acetylcholine. There is not the direct action on alpha-1 on muscle. That is because of alpha-1 mediated release of ACH. But here also direct action is noted with beta-2 receptors, and this direct effect depends on type of fibers. How? That we'll see. In case of slow contracting red fibers, what will happen? Active state is abbreviated and less tension is developed. Another thing is incomplete fusion of individual fibers. This, along with enhanced firing of muscle spindle, leads to tremor. So this type of tremors we can see with the use of selective beta-2 agonist in case of bronchial asthma. So that is the side effect of selective beta-2 agonist while using in case of bronchial asthma, tremors. Okay, so you can remember this side effect. It is produced by this mechanism. In case of fast contracting white fibers, this active state is prolonged and more tension is developed. Means you can say the opposite action is seen. Now CNS action. In general, as such, we'll see adrenaline is having poor penetrability in the CNS. But when high concentration is there or when given for prolonged period, it can lead to some CNS side effects like restlessness, apprehension, tremor, anxiety, etc. And for the same reason, we are knowing these agents can lead to tremor. So beta blockers can be useful in case of tremor as well as anti-anxiety agents, beta blockers used. Alpha-2 in CNS, we are knowing the agent clonidine, that is the selective alpha-2 agonist, which is having action. It causes fall in blood pressure, that is because of decrease in central sympathetic outflow, and it will lead to bradycardia. Now we'll see the metabolic action. So beta-2 receptors in pancreatic beta cells, this will lead to glycogenolysis, hyperglycemia and hyperlacticemia. That is because of activation of the enzyme glycogen pyrrolate. Beta-2 and beta-3 both will lead to lipolysis. We have seen yesterday about beta-3. It produces lipolysis. It is located on the site in adipocyte. So it will activate the enzyme lipase, triglyceride lipase, and lead to lipolysis. As a result of that, there is rise in free fatty acid, calorogenesis also seen. Above actions are due to direct action on liver, muscle and adipose tissue. Now effect of alpha-2 metabolic action, pancreatic beta cells. As we have discussed previously, it causes reduction in insulin secretion because alpha-2 is mainly inhibitory in nature. So we have seen alpha-2 mediated action inhibit the release of noradrenaline, alpha-2 mediated clonidine action decrease in central sympathetic outflow, and in pancreatic beta cells reduction of insulin secretions. But what is the effect of beta-2? Individual beta-2 can lead to enhanced glucagon secretion. So whatever the predominant action of adrenaline will see, it depends on dose, but it will responsible for, it can lead to compromise glucose tolerance. Hyperkalemia, that is transient or initial hyperkalemia is seen, which is followed by hypokalemia due to initial release of potassium from liver and later on uptake into skeletal muscle and liver. So potassium level is also very much necessary to monitor while patient is on adrenaline because both the conditions are risky. Hyperkalemia can also lead to arrhythmia and hypo can also lead to arrhythmia. Adrenaline and such agents already having arrhythmogenic potential, that's why. Now something about the receptor mediated phenomenon or mechanism which is known as desensitization of receptors. We are knowing what is desensitization of receptors. In general pharmacology we have already learned. Continuous presence of agonist that will lead to downregulation of the receptor or decrease availability or decrease number of receptors. Because of that, what will happen? The condition is known as desensitization of receptors. So in case of beta receptors, if we see the main problem with either beta agonist, like the use of beta agonist in case of bronchial asthma. Over the time, sensitivity is reduced with continuous use of selective beta-2 agonist. So that is because of one protein that is known as beta-arrestin. So this beta-arrestin will make the complex with beta-2 receptors, and this complex will prevent binding of or generation of the G protein mediated responses. We have seen adrenergic receptor alpha beta both GPCRS, G protein couple receptors. So this, whatever the consequences are there or molecular pathogenesis or whatever activation of cellular functions are there carried out by G protein. So because of this receptor and beta arrestin complex, there is no generation of G protein mediated responses. So what will happen? This phenomenon is sometimes useful also. In which condition? When because of G protein mediated responses, adrenaline mediated arrhythmia is there, or chronic stimulation. Because of chronic stimulation, it will lead to condition like chronic heart failure. So in that condition, we can use this alternate pathway or another pathway for action of beta mediated action other than this G protein mediated pathway. So this type of agonist in trial or experiment, and these are known as biased beta receptor agonist, and utility we are knowing, having less side effect or overactivation or toxic action of sympathomimetics. Now summary of the action of adrenaline, noradrenaline and isoprenaline. Heart rate, remember we are talking about heart rate, cardiac output, we need to remember about the beta-1 receptors. So heart rate increase with adrenaline, decrease with noradrenaline, that is why decrease in heart rate is there or bradycardia is there, beta 1 stimulation is there, but we have seen there is no beta 2 mediated vasodilation is there. So because of that, much more increase in blood pressure, that will lead to reflex activation and vagal action, that will lead to bradycardia. That's why decrease in heart rate we can see here. Isoprenaline, that is non-selective beta agonist, and the increase in heart rate is much more as compared to adrenaline. Cardiac output increase with adrenaline, no effect of noradrenaline because of this action we are knowing. Isoprenaline also increase in cardiac output. Effect on blood pressure, systolic blood pressure, that is increase with adrenaline also, noradrenaline also, and isoprenaline also. But isoprenaline less. Why? Because no alpha 1 mediated vasoconstriction is there. So increase in systolic blood pressure is there, but as compared to adrenaline and noradrenaline, which are having action on beta 1 also as well as alpha 1 also, so systolic blood pressure rise is much more. Diastolic blood pressure, as we have mentioned earlier, it depends on dose and routes of administration. So it can be increase also, it can be decrease also, depends on situation. In case of norepinephrine, it is noradrenaline, it is always increase. Why? Because no beta 2 mediated vasodilation is there, which is considered as a responsible decrease in diastolic blood pressure. Isoprenaline decrease, why we are knowing. Mean blood pressure, adrenaline increase, noradrenaline much more because no beta 2 mediated vasodilation is there. Isoprenaline fall in blood pressure because no alpha 1 mediated rise in blood pressure is there, but alpha 2 mediated vasodilation is there, so there is fall in mean blood pressure. Blood flow, skin and mucous membrane, adrenaline and noradrenaline decrease. Skeletal muscle increase with adrenaline, decrease with noradrenaline, increase with iso. Kidney decrease, adrenaline, noradrenaline also, no action of isoprenaline. Liver and coronary, okay, blood flow, that also we have discussed, predominant action because of alpha and beta receptors. Action on bronchial muscle, bronchodilation will be seen with adrenaline and isoprenaline because of beta 2 mediated bronchodilation. Bronchial smooth muscle relaxation is there, and both the agents can be used and was used in past as an anti-asthmatic agents. Nowadays better alternatives are available. So these drugs can be reserved for resistance asthmatic cases. Norepinephrine, no beta 2, no effect. Intestinal muscle, we are knowing whether it's alpha receptor or beta receptors. In case of GI, it causes relaxation of muscle. Blood sugar, adrenaline, noradrenaline, isoprenaline, by varying effect on alpha and beta receptors. Ultimately, they lead to compromise glucose tolerance, we can say. Administration and preparations. Adrenaline. So it is given subcutaneously previously whenever there is need to give for asthma or any other conditions. IV also can be given intracardiac in case of emergency conditions. As local vasoconstrictor, adrenaline is used with local anesthetic agents, lignocaine, in ratio of this or this concentration is use of adrenaline 1 in 2 lakh to 1 in 80,000 added to lignocaine. The mechanism why adrenaline is used along with lignocaine, we are knowing it's potent vasoconstrictor because of alpha 1 mediated action. So there is prolongation of action of lignocaine. Another thing is lignocaine mediated systemic toxicity will be limited or will become local only because of concurrent administration of vasoconstrictor. Noradrenaline slow IV infusion can be given. Don't mix with NaHCO3 because drug-drug interaction, there are chances of drug-drug interactions are there. I think you have already learned or you are going to learn, you have already learned about drug-drug interactions in vivo and in vitro. So this type of drug interaction is known as in vitro. So outside the body, it should not be mixed with NaHCO3. It can cause local tissue necrosis when extravasation occur of noradrenaline, and we are knowing it is potent vasoconstrictor. So one of the adverse effect or side effect with noradrenaline, cautious use of noradrenaline, because it can cause necrosis of various end arteries, like in case of fingers or penile arteries, or we can say such type of cases. So isoprenaline sublingual intramuscular IV infusion can be given when there is the role of beta 1 and beta 2 mediated therapeutic action. Like in case of bradyarrhythmia, we can use, tachyarrhythmias, we can use isoprenaline because it reduces the blood pressure. In asthma can be used, but nowadays the use is obsolete. Adverse effect and contraindications, most of them we have already discussed along with pharmacological action. We'll just revise. CNS, we are knowing restlessness, anxiety, tremor, dizziness. It also lead to arrhythmias, tachyarrhythmias. Not only that, the mechanism that also we have seen, enhance pacemaker activity, then unmasking of latent pacemaker. Contraindication, hypertension because they increase the blood pressure, hyperthyroid because here there is already hyperstimulation of sympathetic nervous system. So blocker can be used like beta blocker in case of hyperthyroid patients. Angina pectoris, that is also contraindication because of cardiac stimulation and CVS action. We have seen oxygen consumption or cardiac workload is increased. So oxygen demand will increase. It can aggravate the condition angina pectoris. That's why it is contraindicated. Contraindicated along with halothane, that also we have seen. Halothane, general anesthetic agent, is sensitizes the heart to arrhythmogenic potential of adrenaline. Patients receiving beta 2 blocker. If we are talking about adrenaline, so adrenaline, non-selective agents having alpha action also, beta action also. So patients receiving beta 2 blockers, the beta 2 already block. But if we give adrenaline because of alpha 1 action, unopposed alpha action we can say, because of unopposed alpha 1 action, vasoconstriction, much more vasoconstriction is there, which lead to hypertensive crisis. Thank you. Just revise the topic today. In next class, we will cover another agent.